I guess the market down there is growing to the point that they think they're getting enough traffic.
Let's go, I guarantee you.
But they serve Hilton Head, Savannah, Tybee, that whole area.
They build it as Hilton Head Savannah.
Yeah.
Put it in there.
Thank you, sir.
Here's your backup in case that one don't work, because I'm not sure.
All right.
Well, that was broke too, so sorry.
Somebody do it.
There you go.
That's a fancy one. I have to hold on to this one.
Don't walk away with it now.
I won't be like that. Try not to anyway.
Anyone heard from Mark?
Follow up real quick.
Listen. That it? Well, it's 5, so let's go ahead and start. We do have a quorum. We'll see if our other member can join us. The minutes of your October meeting were part of your packet. It was distributed to you. Are there any changes or corrections that need to be made to that set of minutes? Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Weber makes a motion, Weber makes a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Next is your financial reports, multiple pages of that. Also a part of your distribution packet and in front of you. It looked like we had sold some of the surplus equipment we had for sale.
Yeah.
Netted a little over 17,000 or almost 17,500.
What did most of that consist of?
It's vehicles.
Vehicle.
Truck.
Was that's the one that was wrecked, did we get it sold? What did it bring?
The individual.
Roughly.
I can't remember all of them.
I can send you a list of them.
Just wondered.
Did that sale kind of clean the slate of your surplus?
Yeah, all surplus vehicles are gone.
Good.
Questions about any of the financials? You're looking at the period through the end of October.
Seems like there's 1,000 or so, wouldn't it really?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
On the, if you look at it, there's the income statement, period ending, of course it's on here, and then someone has the unencumbered balance column. 204 55 900-338, the maintenance and repair of vehicles in the city. They used up 55.99%, allocated 10,948, and we've already spent. The encumbered balance is 6,213.52. Is that, was there something maintenance wise that popped up that was maybe a little bit more towards the front end of the fiscal year than the back end, or?
Which sheet are you on, boss?
If you look through it, it should be one that says unencumbered balance. The
What's
second
the title?
says
Income statement.
income statement 2020, 2021 for period ending October 31st, 2020. The one has in parentheses with red writing in it.
Okay.
Which line again?
So it says maintenance repair vehicle city should be 338. Little under halfway
Gotcha,
down the page, or
gotcha.
We
So-
spent $6,000.
well, we're not even halfway through the year, and it's 55.99%. So I just didn't know if year over year if that's an increase. It looks like it's kind of ahead expenditure wise.
It just comes and goes most of the time. You usually don't have to use it. I'm trying to remember exactly why we used it now.
Was it the dump truck? No.
Not to use
Oh,
it.
another
The
one.
dump truck.
Okay.
Now we're having a hitch welded on it right now.
And now, in,
Falling.
under maintenance and repairs vehicles, when we get new trucks and we're putting the radios and bed liners,
Is
that
that
kind
where,
of stuff,
does that
that
go
goes
in
in
there?
there.
Oh, well, we've
Yeah.
added some radios and lights.
Okay.
Those fees go in there.
Wouldn't that go under equipment? Instead of
Just-
repair?
Well,
I
We've
guess
been
because it's the
expensing it,
vehicle thing, she has to,
I was just expensing it instead of capitalizing
That
it.
may be one of those expenses, you could flip it either way,
I think
and
it could go either way, I mean,
comptroller probably wouldn't bat an eye either place.
Well, typically, when, I'm kinda like the mayor, when I see something that's anomalous like that, I first wanna make sure there's not something that's been miscategorized or miscoded. So do you think you spent $6,000?
Yeah.
On that stuff? Okay.
I mean, I can pull the,
And if it is radios and warning lights and stuff like that, those will be one-time expenses rather than reoccurrence.
Right.
And then on line 599 down towards the bottom says other charges city, you already used 92.08%. 9,538.98. That's the unencumbered balance. Is there? Do you think we're okay on that as far as the rest of the fiscal year, or was there? Is that? I'm not sure what was paid out of that. Is that some of the? Could be insurance because that's up here.
Spent 35,000 out of 38 budgeted.
I can't off the top of my head think of any big ticket item, but I can pull those.
Could you research them and
Yeah.
perhaps email the board
Sure.
so that they could get a clarification?
No problem.
Mayor, other questions?
I just got one. I just want to know within this be chemicals. So chemical city should be 468. It's got 25,512.84 remaining, and it's. I just wonder why it's. Is it because it's? I guess it's because in parentheses, and that's why it's showing up because it's 24.9%. But some of these other ones that's highlighted in red are a lot higher than that. So. I guess it's just alerting you if it gets below a certain amount, or
Okay, now wait a minute.
yeah, it's budgeted 182.17.82, and encumbered balance is 162,214.42, so it leaves you 25,512.84.
That's what's, yeah, it has not been encumbered yet, that's correct.
Heather, how are you?
The encumbered balances, that's where we have issued blanket POs to Thornburg or whoever to cover these
So
routine.
is that, do we think we're pretty well stocked up, I guess, inventory wise, as far as chemicals, or are we expecting a lot more expenditures? for
we
the rest
buy
of the year?
them monthly.
You see, the encumbered balance is the stuff that it has not yet been spent. The expenditure is what's actually been spent year to date.
Mhm. As I said, I just wondered why it's popping up red and some of these other ones are higher.
Is it red because it,
Because the percentage is encumbered and the actual expense. So, you got 162,000 evidently that you've ordered that you haven't been billed for yet.
red means negative? These, when you say
So
red.
you've got 25,000 left out of the 182,000
Because it's
budget.
unencumbered.
But the 24% is what's not making sense. So is it 24% of what was budgeted, or is it 24% of what was spent that was budgeted? I'm confused as exactly what the percentage is. Typically, when we look at it, what we're looking at with the county budget is the percentage is what's been spent of the budgeted amount.
If you look back at the page previous to that where the lines began, if I'm on the right line, it looks like we had 182,000 budgeted. Year to date, we've spent 45,000.
That's correct, that's correct.
So the 24% would be about right for percentage spent
Of what's
during the
actually
year.
spent. Right. But the heading is what's deceptive.
And
Heading
then it
says-
looks like, if I'm also reading this right, there's an additional 25,000 out there that hasn't been paid yet.
That we have not encumbered.
Okay.
I'm saying that I've got $162,000 that I have issued a purchase order for that amount. But it has not been received yet.
Right, for what we budgeted, we've got 25,512.84 remaining,
Correct.
which this column, it says percents expenditured and encumbered, so in actuality, we've encumbered or expended 89.12% already.
The percentage at the right-hand side doesn't look correct.
If it's doing both, is the point. Which does that throw your total off? Because you've budgeted $3,342,000,
Okay, if you
and
take
it's
your,
showing unencumbered $1,902,000, but that's only 33%. That's not 33% of $3,342,000.
if you take your expenditure year to date, the 45,000, plus your encumbered, the 162, that's gonna put you 25,000 over, so it is a negative. It is 25% over budget then.
So it's saying that we're 25% over budget.
If that. But now, like I say, on the encumbered part, we issued blanket POs for different vendors.
Understand? Well, if we look at the bottom, total fund. Just forget the line items, total fund.
The expenditure.
Appropriated amount is your budget for all those categories, correct? This period you spent $267,000. Expenditures year to date, we spent $1,127,000. There's an encumbered balance or purchase orders issued of $312,000. If you add the $312,000 and what was spent year to date, you're at about $1,450,000, correct?
Okay.
All right. How does $1,450,000 versus 1902 come up to be 33%?
That's a calculation between the expenditures year to date and the budgeted amount.
So it has nothing to do with the encumbered balance?
No.
Okay.
You're looking at what you spent year to date versus what you budgeted.
So do all those other percentages?
They should do the same.
Yeah, I think it's,
But it doesn't look like it is, because you're saying that that's taken into effect, that 162,000 encumbered. So if you were only taking what you spent, which would be 45,000 versus the 182 that was budgeted, now that might come up with a 24.9. This is strange.
let me do a little more research on it with logic to see exactly what that, I think their heading is wrong.
Well, I'm beginning to wonder that too. That's what I was saying, is that what that says it is actually what it is? Or is it meant to be one or the other? You know, I don't know. I mean, if that's the correct amount for year to date, that you've spent year to date, and where you should be in your budget cycle at the end of 10/31, 33% is right on. So, yeah,
The 24.9 is the calculation between the expenditure year to date and the budgeted amount.
okay. So the encumbrances have nothing to do
Has
with it.
nothing to do with it. No.
Then how do you have a negative figure on your unencumbered balance? That's where you're looking to see if you spent more than you budgeted.
Right.
So forget the percentages and look at that last column to see how you are versus your budget. Correct? No?
You mean the second to last column?
Yes. Unencumbered balance.
Well, look, here's an example. Look back up about mid-page.
Uh-huh.
There's legal notices and recording city. We had budgeted $68.50 in the appropriation amount on the first page of that document. And we had spent year-to-date $982. And when you carry it forward onto that second page, we are $914 over budget on that particular line.
Right. So that's what we have to look at to know whether we're exceeding our budget or not.
That next to the last column there, I think would give you a clearer picture than the percentage column.
What we need to know is the percentage
Against
on
the
the
budget.
activity year to date versus the appropriations. In my mind, that's what I'm used to looking at with all the county financials, and I think,
Percent of your budget line item.
right, and you know what your percentage is gonna be. Any given month, you should be at 43%, 50%, because you're mid-year, and you can see if you've spent under 50, over 50, your revenue's been under 50, over 50. And I mean, the encumbrances having that on there is certainly good information, but can be a little hard to
Well, and if you look at the first sheet of that document, it apparently is a two-page document that carries over and multiple columns. But that first part of it, you got an appropriated amount, activity for this period, and then expenditure year to date. And those three columns give you a pretty clear picture of what's going on any particular month. And then if you had a column that was percent of expenditure against the budget, you'd know where you are. That's what you're accustomed to on the county reports.
Right. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
No, I don't
Other
think
than
there
it's
is
a little
either.
hard to digest it in terms of what we're used to looking at.
I think, as they said, the column is supposed to be percentages, the way it's labeled says percent expenditures and encumbered, but it's actually not, it's what's actually been expended.
And this
Taking
may
account-
change when you get the new software in place in a few months. So these reports may not be consistent with what that software will generate.
The bottom line, we've got some certain line items that we're over on right now, but as far as the total budget goes, we're only 33.73%. I'm gonna say expended at this time. After expenditures. And I think if you did it, it's 40, included in the encumbrances, it's 40-something%. So,
I guess you're about 40% through the year on this report, but you're about 33% of your budget expended. So I'll get the questions answered for the moment. And then if, Mary Dale, if you get better answers and would like to send those out, please do so. Other questions about your financials? If not, is there a motion to approve the financials?
Motion to approve the financials.
Second.
I'll second.
Moreland seconds. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Let me back up and create an introduction. Heather Bay has joined this group and she was appointed last night to be my replacement on the water board as a member at large, filling the term that I'm currently in. And Heather, you'll have to check with Amy probably to determine what year in my term, or Mary Dale, if you know. I really don't know.
We had that, I think it ended January of 2021, wasn't it, Mayor? You looking?
My term
I'm gonna be
originally,
looking, cause I'm not
He's
sure
looking.
which one was the IDB and which one was the water board, so.
I don't know the end dates on either of those.
We had it on the appointment list last night. He can look at it.
Heather, welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Next is your water loss report. That is in your document. Looks like we're at about 43% unaccounted for. This year we were slightly over 40% this time last year. This has been consistently a moving target. Tommy, we're up a little from September. I don't know whether you got any ideas or not, but
Well, we know the last test on the meter prison, the meter for the prison is going to have to be, we're going to change it out, but it's
the master meter.
it's not accurate as it should be. It didn't pass the test last time, so we got scheduled to get that changed out. Got scheduled at prison to change it out. We've been trying to get with them and found out the guy that was the maintenance man had not been working there for a long time. To get the contact we had. So they got a new guy, and we met him, and trying to schedule that with him. And we're still working on the issues at the water plant side of it too. Checking on getting those either modified or having to change them out, or whatever we gotta do to get them accurate. I know the raw water meter, which we don't really calculate off of it, but it's what it's reading like 40% off. So it's an old orifice plate. It's built into the line, so it's probably going to have to be something new.
Questions about the water loss report?
Well, I mean, that's my first concern is what we're reading is water pumped accurate. Because if you're not accurate with the figures to start with, it's going to affect everything down the food chain. So you're saying that it's not?
The raw water side, you don't calculate off it on this though.
Okay, so you're calculating off of what goes out of the plant, not
What you pump out is.
Okay.
And then you break that down to residential and wholesale.
It turns out to be what it is when you get your meter reads in. That's a calculation right there on your water sold is all your meter reads. Your wholesale, that's who we sell to.
And the meter reads is whatever is recorded as
Whatever's
being passed
recorded.
through those meters.
Yeah. We take that data and put it in this form. Calculation is a lot of times just what it ends up being.
Well, I know
But when you know like the prison meter, we know it's misreading. We're going to be changing it.
I guess my biggest question is the big users where we're selling to Trousdale.
Yeah,
Where are we confident that they're reading accurately, and are we confident that the meter reading the output into the whole system is accurate?
And most of the wholesalers that you sell to, they perform, in essence, a double check on you. They know what they've been billed from Hartsville each month, and then they'll verify their customer readings to see if there's a big difference. They've also got a water loss factor too, but they may have leaks, but they know how much they bought, and then they know how much they resold.
But if we're not billing them enough, they're not going to tell us we're not billing them enough.
Probably not. But those master meters are a key part of this.
And we do.
But they check those, we check those with
We
monthly.
do calibrate them.
They-
We do the calibration checks that's required yearly for all our master meters.
Is that the original master that's been in at the prison?
This is the original meter they've had all this year.
Heather?
What's the life expectancy of those master meters?
It depends on the usage. If they use a high volume, they go out quicker.
So it's based on volume, not
Most of
by
them are
year?
based on like a small meter, 1,000,000 gallons.
It's exponential.
It's just on
So
the
when they
usage.
start getting out, it starts getting way out over time.
If they're a high user, they're gonna wear that meter out a lot faster.
Well, is that a year, 5 years, 20 years, 100 years, typically?
It's probably, could be more than a year or two, depending on how high usage it is.
Right. And if you're out 1 or 2%, you take 2% on 4,000 gallons, that ain't much, but you start pushing 500,000 to somebody at 2%, it adds up real quick.
And when was the last time the master meter for the prison was replaced?
It ain't been replaced, but it's been
It
checked.
hasn't.
It's
Is it
been
re-
But it
tested.
hasn't been calibrated.
It's been tested every year to look. They look to see if it's within that 3% accuracy plus or minus. And this last test we did, it didn't make it.
Okay.
I think I can't remember the number.
So I'd say that gives you the red flag that it's beginning to fail, and if you don't take some steps, it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. More questions about your water loss? Next is the engineering report. Evan?
We submitted the SRF plans to the state. They do have them. They are going through the review. They come back with about 3 or 4 emails asking for fees for review. I took care of those. One was the facility plan that had to be submitted. Now they're wanting the plans and specs. I didn't know they was going to want all the fees up front as far as if it was a real project without y'all accepting the terms of the loan. So they still gotta go through all the financials and come up with what the, what y'all are looking at for y'all to agree on. But so they're moving right along with that review of our documents that we had to submit to get the project rolling without the project really rolling. So y'all still are not obligated to anything. So that's been took care of. I've got the revisions to the garage out here. We'll look at it after the meeting. That was requested last month that we changed some stuff, so we'll look at that. CDBG, they're fixing to, Monday we're meeting. That's correct. It's Monday after Thanksgiving. We're going to meet with them and it's basically a kickoff. They're getting all their zone meters in, delivered, and they're going to get started on that project as far as construction goes now. And if y'all got any questions, I'll answer those.
Questions?
Can you refresh my memory, what was the expected construction time?
As
As far as putting the meters and stuff in?
They told us about a month is what he told us once he got here, so.
Somewhere in February is the deadline.
Yeah, the deadline, the days are counting. I mean, they got till like mid-February or something, so. But he basically promised that he'd be out here before then, so. It won't take them but about a week to set those meters once they get them here. They've hit as we've all learned that the COVID, they've hit a kind of a niche with getting the hatches that go on the top of the vaults. Everybody's running hatch staff or low staff or however you want to put it, and they're telling them January. So I told them if they wanted to go ahead and put the vaults in the ground, they could plate them temporarily. That way they can at least get the big part done. Then they'll come and set just the top hatch in if they want to go that route, or they're looking for as equal hatches. But as of today, they looked at 2 other companies and they told them the same thing. So I said stay with what we expect to begin with. So that's where the conversation ended today. So I don't expect they'll be able to get them rushed up no more than 4 weeks is what they've been told. So.
Any questions for Evan? Next, we'll move to the general manager's report. Tom?
Yeah, on the sewer stuff, Don Scholes said he did something for, I forget where it was at, but he was going to take a document he used somewhere else, try to make a policy for us. It's incorporated all that y'all have changed so far, things y'all put into place, and what we practice now too, and have it all in one policy to go in our manual. He said he thinks it'll recognize the county's document too already. He's working on it.
Okay, Tom, you keep going.
And approval for the employee bonuses.
Those were incorporated into the budget document this year when it was prepared and passed. And it would amount to $450 per employee given out as a bonus. And to pay those out, we would need a determination and a vote by the board to do so.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay. Second.
Does that include the manager's bonus, or is that going to be
We'll
addressed separately?
address that separately. Other points of discussion?
Are we giving this as an annual bonus or a Christmas bonus?
It's budgeted just as an annual bonus, that's the descriptor.
Okay.
We just happen to do it near Christmas time.
I just want that to be clear, that we are not giving a Christmas bonus to these people. They're getting a bonus, an annual bonus.
Other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. It is done. Also, in regard to the employee budgets, our bonus, this board has authorized monies in the past to reward the general manager. In the beginning, when he was hired, there was a performance document that we used that could reward him up to $5,000 as an annual bonus. We've moved away from the performance document the last 2 or 3 years, but that item is still on the table for us to consider tonight, whether or not to reward the general manager with a performance bonus. Thoughts, comments?
I would like us, if we're not gonna tie it to performance bonus, I'd like for us to get away from the bonus aspect and just incorporate it into his salary. I think it's a bit misleading, people looking at it as to why you're giving one department head a bonus when you're not doing that with others. Since we are more in charge of his salary, and that's less of a question of policy. Just a thought. I certainly am in favor of him having it. I just think it would be better to try to get away from the bonus aspect, unless we are going to tie it to a performance-related situation.
And in the beginning years, we did.
I know. And I totally agree with that. And I'm not saying I disagree with doing that now. I just think it would be better if we try to, maybe next budget cycle, transition this away from a bonus into just a straight salary. If he's not doing his job, we need to fire him and get somebody else anyway. And if he is, then he needs to get paid for doing his job.
I like to see him sweat.
I give him enough grief. That's my question. I'll make a motion to approve the $5,000 bonus this year.
Second that.
With the stipulation that we look at it going into the future in the next budget cycle.
That'll be captured in your minutes. Other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
Tommy's behind the wheel.
And I think as Dwight suggested, you as a board can decide one of two routes. If you want to leave it performance-based, then you need to come up with a measuring document that you can utilize. We had that in those beginning years, and we utilized kind of a matrix that checked off whether or not certain aspects had been accomplished. If not that, then as Dwight suggests, just add it to the base salary and move on. Next, we're kind of to the end of this. Oh, you've got fire hydrants, Tommy, and there's a sheet in there. You may want to make
It's just
some
an
comments.
update. No, it's just an update on what we've done.
Okay.
We got 10 more in since last time we met.
The one on River Street that's showing here, that it says knocked over. Did that just happen recently?
Where at now?
It's 315 River Street. Says
I
knocked over.
think it's been damaged for a while, hasn't it?
But it's been
Up in the blue area.
It says repaired.
Okay, but I mean, was it one that was recently knocked over, or has it been a?
Oh, that one was missing since I've been here. I didn't even, we had to dig around and find it.
Okay, that's the one that,
It was in front of,
okay, that we didn't even know was there.
yeah, we didn't even know it was there until,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Now I know which one that is. Okay. I appreciate all your hard work on the hydrants. It's long needed, and I know it's been thorn in the side to try to get it done, but
The fire department happy?
yes, sir.
Absolutely.
And we did get our back T lab certified. And we hope to be close to being
So
done with
can
it.
we then do samples for other
We
utilities?
can if we wish to.
Would that be some kind of profit center we could get going, or is it, I mean, how many
You won't
places?
make a whole lot, but
No,
it'll be-
yeah.
How many places
Make
need
enough
us to do that?
we'll make enough to offset our, maybe some of our laboratory costs.
expenses, yeah.
If you could cover your chemicals and expenses, you're probably doing good, but you might be able to intercept some customers that are going to a farther away lab, and all of a sudden you're within several miles closer to them.
Mhm. Do we need to advertise that? I mean, this is probably not a big deal, but talk to other,
Our biggest customers will be utilities.
yeah,
Yeah.
talk to Smith County and,
Well, we go
Bethpage.
to Smith County now, so.
okay.
They had
Oh, okay, so
certified.
they have their own,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
But the biggest thing, we'll be able to do them ourselves if we got, instead of having to drive and
Pay somebody else to do it.
Pay somebody else to
Let
do
them- Yeah.
Do we need to get into this or not?
he didn't, he just said he was gonna come. I didn't know if that meant tonight, but he signed the contract, and I know y'all talked about adding that language to it.
I'd like to talk about it a little bit if you don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
If everybody's okay with it. We had an issue come up with someone that we set a meter for, and they haven't started using it yet. And of course, they're receiving the minimum bill, and they're wanting to not pay it because they're not using it yet. The rules say quite explicitly that once it's set, you're gonna pay the minimum bill. And I understand that. The thing that's come up is in the contract, it just says that you will agree to run by the rules and regulations, but it doesn't spell out in the contract specifically that part of it. Talks about a lot of things, but doesn't talk about that. Where I would like to see us do is, how many times you go to order something and you can't order it, place the order until you check the box that says, I have received a copy of the rules and regulations and I read them and approve them. I wish we could go to something like that, that they're expected to abide by these things, and the contract says they are, that we give them a copy, and they have to check the box before the signature that says they have received it, they read it, and they agree to it in its entirety. Now, that may be much, much too complicated, may not even be necessary, but from a legal standpoint, I don't know. I'm not an attorney and not a son of an attorney, but I think our contract has some loopholes that could be misconstrued and exploited possibly. I don't think anybody's going to go out and entertain an attorney over a $24, $29 water bill, but it gets back to trying to be fair with people. I think if we're going to require them to abide by these rules, they should be given a copy of those rules, or at least a copy for them to read and check off on here, I have read and, agreed to abide by it. I know it says that they agree to abide by those rules, but it doesn't in anywhere say that they have received those rules, read those rules, or accept those rules. So, just something that we might want to look at going forward. I'm a firm believer, if you've had a problem with it once, you're going to have a problem with it again. It's just a matter of time and just trying to find a way to head off that problem.
And I think all it would take would be incorporating in one of those contract lines the language from your policy, which states that the customer will begin to pay a monthly minimum at least once the service is connected. And after that, it becomes pretty clear what the customer's responsibility is.
And there's plenty of room on this. It's not like there's not a blank bottom on it. I mean, it's just getting in the word processor and adding another few sentences if we want to handle it that way. But I want people, I don't want us to have communications down the road that we have to deal with as a board, they have to deal with as a manager. If there's some way that in the paperwork on the initial stage that we can head some of these problems off, we need to try to do that, is where I'm coming from.
And just for record, this is the first time it's come up since I've been here. It's the first time it's ever been brought up as a question. I don't remember anybody ever mentioning it before. And Mr. Scholes, I think, prepared this document, because we used to have a lot longer document.
We changed to this when we went with Logics, but I know there's some
Okay,
tweaking done to it.
not a problem. When you have a problem with it next time, don't bring it to this board. You handle it.
Oh, no, I just letting you know how you wrote that. It could be fixed or added to. Ain't no big deal.
It'd be easier just to add that language about the minimum
Yeah.
building into this, but incorporating by reference is done all the time. Our contract with TDOC incorporates a manual that you were not provided. You gotta go on their website and find it. We have contracts all the time that incorporate stuff by reference. It's just the way it is, but it's better to put it in your, Tri-County puts it right on their bill, or with their contract when you sign up. As soon as they set that, you start paying the minimum whether you're using their electricity or not. So it's easier just to add it into this than it is to provide the other thing. I would say we may want to look at providing a written copy out in the lobby that anybody can look at the rules and regulations if they want to. However, just for this purpose, I would just suggest adding that minimum language into this contract.
One other item before the board tonight, I have tendered my resignation. Heather has been appointed to replace me. The executive committee has been defined by this board as being the chairman along with the mayor, and they were empowered to act in between board meetings, and each of us were identified by position we held. So after tonight, I will no longer be present as the chairman. Craig, you would move up to be chairman. This board normally re-elects officers in January, the first of each calendar year. So if things come up after tonight that need executive committee, Craig, it would be you and the mayor until you re-elect your officers first of the year. And typically we do not meet in December because the meeting date would fall so close to the Christmas holidays. A call meeting can happen, but unless there is a lot of business to transact, you normally could skip that month and then pick it up in January, even push your January meeting early if you need to reach back and capture something. But I want to say thanks to you. It's been a pleasure to work with you all. It's been a good ride. I pass the baton to the next person. I feel like with Heather, it's in good hands.
Well, thank you. Thank you for everything. You've been a great service to Trousdale County and to this board. And we do appreciate it. I know I've learned a lot. Can't speak for everything, but I know I've learned a lot from you. And thank you.
I'm gonna give you that, just
Thank you,
token of
Tommy.
our appreciation.
I appreciate it.
Nice.
It is.
All right. Gotcha.
Anything else to come before this board tonight?
Mr. Chairman, I'll just update on the question I was asked earlier. The term that Ms. Bay will be stepping into after your resignation will end on December 31st, 2022. You got a couple of years.
And Ms. Bay, you'll have I think 12 months to get some classes took care of.
Certification?
Yes,
Yeah. Board members have to go through specialized training. I don't know whether Tommy will be able to get that either maybe online or the training might come to us.
The comptroller's office has put it online, so they should go online and do it through the comptroller's office utility training.
Lucky you.
I may be calling y'all for some notes.
That was a long 8 hours.
Craig, you still got any notes?
Well, you know, I'm pretty good at retaining. Good time.
Mental note.
Mental notes.
Mental.
Mental notes.
Anything else to come before this board?
Yeah, I'm gonna miss you more.
Thank you.
No meeting in December, correct?
December, I don't see anything. Does anybody else see anything that?
I won't be available on our normal date either way, so.
Well, your executive committee is empowered to act if something arises that Tommy needs a decision on. And then you just bring it back to the full board when they meet the next.
Something happens, I'll let you know on that.
Anything else?
Hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving.
A motion to adjourn?
Make a motion with you.
So moved.
We do have some cake and ice cream for you.
Cake? Did I hear cake?
You may go take it.
I thought I was making holiday stuff. They never worked through.
Thanks, sir.
Y'all business picked up here recently, or?
We have not had a slow moment since June. Of course, April and May,
Got room on the back?
we've been absolutely nothing. Yeah, we've been
Hot pack.
trying to slow it down on purpose.
I got as much wood, I got a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take one.
Yes. What I
Are you
come
gonna look
for.
at the building? Or are you going after cake?
No, sir,
He
I'm
meant to
going
get some
back to work.
cupcakes.
Going back to work.
I brought him.
We can look at this while he,
We'll see.
so we take that door out.
It's been hot.
Work. Trying to make a living. Oh, hey, we can drop it by the office. We like to visit.
That parts and materials could be an
I've
option.
been thinking, I've been like, oh, I'm dropping it off. I've been carrying it around, dashing my truck, next time I stop by. When's the last time I've been by?
All of this is used.
I don't look at it every day. in my life.
Yeah, the whole thing.
I'll be by.
I'll send a reminder.
Okay,
of
okay.
the dates.
Thank you.
See you later, Ray. Remind everybody to get back. Give your Dale on those aspects.
I'll do that.
And Heather, I mean Dale.
Are we on the email together that Tommy sent out today?
I found you on the county's website.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I think they use your direct flights. I don't know
Okay.
whether that's the one you want to use, but she's
I'll probably use it
Whichever
first.
one
I'll probably use it first.
got an email.
Okay.
Yeah.
It really don't
Okay.
matter, yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, I don't see when you would be going from
Can you
shop
fill
to
that out now?
shop.
You got it? I don't
To
mind.
me,
Well,
it
if
would
you
be more important for him.
Hold on, you were before.
That's what he was
That
saying. I
door
didn't
out
know
of his
that that was part
office
of
where
it.
he
Okay.
can come out.
So I need to make an appointment by the office.
He's not going anywhere, I got you here,
Tomorrow.
Steve,
But now,
You
if
know
I'll
it.
do that, that'll be
You know it.
fine. And W4, I
Don't
mean,
block it. I will use it,
Block you.
I will use it.
of course,
I will use it.
copy your social.
But that's up to
card
him.
and
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
for the
We're on
I-9.
for two.
What I was
tomorrow
questioning is this door coming out of the conference room into the shop area. I don't see
There need
it
to be a
being
color
useful.
copy. I'll just bring
I have
it.
It looks like
I
it
got
could
two
be
different
more
ones.
outrageous than a door
Okay.
615.
I know for my
coming
homeland
into your
security
office
things, I've got, it
out
has
of
to
the
be
shop.
over
So you're not
I
having,
need you to
Dave,
call
yeah.
me.
you need to go out to
I
the
don't
shop
think
and
I
check
have
on
to.
something. I
Okay.
Of course, you can be able to come out
And
and go
that
through. I
training
understand
is,
that.
Yeah, if something pop up,
I mean, I know these two have to.
I know I can reach you,
Mary,
but.
for 2 years or for 3 years?
Just wondered, do you think it would be
I can't remember because I said.
something going on in the shop that you need to jump up and go check on, or that they need to
Go
ask you
through the
about?
I had to get my money.
Have a year
Access
Yes,
to
sir.
to
your
join a
office.
board to get your training. And then it is good for
Like that
every
was Craig,
window
one more
trying
at
to use
gmail.com.
That's it.
I'm not saying don't take it out, I'm just saying, I'm just saying,
I'll tell you
probably
what,
have a door,
my husband's over there recording right now, so if it's done, I'll send it to you. That's
since
my
he's
county
gonna have
phone.
to,
Okay,
if
okay.
he needs to go to the shop, he's gonna have to go out and come in.
Yes,
Or go all the way through here.
Emergency
and
pops
come
up.
That's
in.
quite often.
Or cut through one of
They
these.
need me for something,
I
just
guess.
yell at me.
All right.
Building a
You know,
shop meeting room.
That's the only thing I see that,
Oh, okay.
They've acquired
HTW.
I can see where it would
land
be advantageous for him to be
HT.
able to come out of his office
And that's
into the shop.
we need a place to
25,
store
and never
Just a
our
door.
truck
It's
equipment
2250.
inside.
2250 in December.
Well, we've been storing
Okay,
things
so that's
down
20.
behind
No,
the
I
city
believe
hall
this
building
Three.
and
They're
flood.
This is a must,
big.
this is a must.
Gotcha.
So now
To
that
me,
water has moved up
I think it
here,
would be-
it would make more sense to
I
put
think it would be good
our
for him to
storage
have a door.
building up
out
here
of the
with
office.
us.
I don't know what you use your
They're
tooling
gonna
for,
build a
Tommy, but
training
is there
room
anything
and
bigger
an
than a
employee,
3-0 door that's gonna need to come
laundry
in and out of
wash-up
there?
area in case they get nasty
So
while they're on the
it's
job.
right.
And they launder clothes.
I think this
and
is small
laundry.
tools, you're gonna have areas out there.
Areas.
Take a
I'm
look.
telling you, I'm telling you.
Yeah,
I might wanna retire those two.
This
Oh,
No,
okay.
quick,
Yeah,
quick,
yeah, yeah.
put that in there.
A couple of years
That's
ago,
all
I don't know if there's more.
Budget line?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but, yeah.
But you can get plans.
No.
You can get them over that safety
There.
rack.
Oh, okay.
On this place.
With big stuff.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And,
it'll be a drive through
Well, I think
the
the bucket is full
building.
of-
excuse me.
Doors on both ends.
Now,
What's a good number
That'd be
where
a coast
yeah,
number.
call me, that'd be great. 615
Leaf hog and-
504 74.
Well, I mean, it's just a lot of space and you
But it's
never
under
have
Dad's
enough storage.
property?
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah, that's like
And-
we have talked about, just go ahead and make
I
it
guess
where
I
you
need
can
to
actually
go
store
ahead.
something, you
The
know.
me-
Just wait.
The mezzanine or
I don't have,
something?
I don't have it marked, but
This
I
might
just
be
It's
want
just
it between the
really
electric
wide,
pole and the
so-
driveway. Anyway,
Make
out
those,
here.
Told him go ahead and beef that up so we
Sure.
can use the space.
Right, but that,
I should say between the electric pole and the
It might be early for
driveway.
details, Evan, but
Water board
Y'all
meeting
have
most
floor?
likely be built back there.
maybe removable railing right here to,
Yes, you do.
No, they ain't gotta be,
They might
it's not
be
urgent, but
We've
just,
got
you
some
know.
in
just
hangers
whenever.
that do that, where they're just break it, like a breakaway,
Yep.
so.
Okay.
It's the meter
They
going
might
to the,
put them
going to the building.
We'll put all kinds
Yeah.
of parts up there. and-
As long as it's below the.
it would be
electric pole.
helpful to have that so you're not having to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
down the
yeah,
stairs.
it's in there, cause I'm gonna go on the bottom.
Something heavy. They got
Yeah.
some things
That'd be
This will be a
Thank you.
little
Or even both.
like,
hard to
the
hold.
fire station down the street.
Mhm. We've seen floor dollies and tow motor with a breakaway railing.
Well, I mean, you've got.
It's amazing the difference in how people can
If you want
get
to.
their stuff up there.
Well, you've got pallet jacks that are scissors that are, they're not really a tow motor, but they're like a pallet. That's all. I like that. But that's the only thing I see is I think it would be advantageous for him to have a door
Now,
out
the
his
side,
office.
I'm planning on the side, which I just did that, you know how we had that drive.
Right.
That's all I took off.
Took it off this end.
Right, that's all.
We left the drive-through
Yes.
and think there's gonna be enough room.
Oh, yes. And you said that the trees.
We got the trees there.
Trees are gone.
That's
We're
the first
ready
thing
to
I
build
see.
this.
And we're trying.
Gotta do it, man.
And this drain here is gonna drain over there, that tension area,
Okay.
and it works.
Sure, okay, good.
So they can wash down anything that's
Yeah.
down there.
Do you, I mean, if you don't think you need that
No,
door,
it's fine. I didn't think about it myself.
I mean, do you
Unless
not-
you're trying to get I mean, you gotta think, you got that door and your desk and all your cabinets and stuff,
well, just make sure it's off in the corner.
Right, exactly.
You know, make sure all your doors are as close to the corner as possible, so you're not losing that space, any more of it than you have to. Probably on it,
You'll
if
need
you
to see
bet,
it more
put
now.
it back here, that way you got credentials, you got that whole in for desk. if you want to.
I was thinking his desk would be back here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, put it to this side here. You don't need a bathroom in your office, you're an old man.
No, yeah.
Okay. Maybe you do need to flop them so it's closer to the bathroom.
Or, I mean, the tool room, I don't know, I mean, he can make the tool room is, I don't know how many tools y'all are gonna have, so. I mean,
You should
They
see
need
my
that room.
office.
that'd be a better office than this would be. I mean,
But if you put a door
it ain't,
up way
way
back,
ain't a big office.
you put the door there, they can use it either way.
Yeah,
It could be used either way.
I don't know how many 8-foot rooms you probably have, but. You put room in it.
There's not a lot of storage for parts. And then rarely need that mezzanine.
Yeah, that's what all that mezzanine is for.
Yeah.
It'll be for, also paperwork and things like that.
Usually there's small stuff like hand tools.
About 100.
Yeah, things of that nature. Drill, shovels.
The what, the building's 60 by 100.
60 by 100,
And
yeah.
this is only, I thought I had a full mention 30.
30, okay.
So that's 30 by 60. So 1,800 square feet. And well, you got two stories.
It's always there, when it's raining, you pull right in here and go right into the.
Yeah.
You don't have to get wet there.
In the wrong business, worry about that.
That's right.
You wanna get wet to wash the mud off?
That's part of the job, getting wet.
All of this is temperature controlled, all this section is.
Yeah.
So those two are.
Yep. This upstairs will be. Now the garage will have it.
But get
Any
some,
fans or
I'm
anything
going to.
for summer?
Well, usually.
And for heat?
Well, I mean.
Or is that what this is?
Well, no, these are big doors. He's open.
Oh, I see now, that's the doors
Yeah,
there.
they go all the way through.
Right.
That's the drive-through doors, when you pick it up.
This is
And
just
then-
floors right.
No, that's just a wall. It's
Wall.
solid.
That's really nice, because we'll end up putting the circle drains and quarters and more than 2% grade.
Trench drain like that, it's just easier to pitch it when you're doing your concrete to the central area.
You require separators?
No. So it's not a garage per se, it's as far as you're not changing oil, you're not, not like a more equipment storage type thing. I wouldn't think it would be classified where it had to have that.
Because it's a stowage hangar, it's not
Yeah, right.
I mean, a stowage, but sorry, can you tell what my daily job is? It's a stowage building, not actually a maintenance shop.
Right.
Not a maintenance shop as much as it parks the trucks inside at night, so they can be more secure, more of a secure area.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've never had anywhere to park our equipment since it's mostly outside.
I'll give you a little better life expectancy, hopefully, under some rooftops.
Well, there's things that you leave in the back of these trucks that you're having to take in and take out, that if you could store the truck in a secure building, you wouldn't have that labor moving and removing.
It'd be like electric companies, you put it in the bucket and see the.
I've seen that before.
I wish you had said that, now he'll want a bucket.
I always wonder what they did, so I asked somebody in that line of work, I said, why do y'all always put them buckets up there?
I got two
Yeah,
there.
that's what they did.
I don't know.
That makes sense. We'll fill it up tonight.
Is this my birthday?
Oh, yeah, happy birthday. Bunch of sheep, you probably, well, you didn't see the all sheep.
No, I haven't, this is my first year.
Thank you.
They've seen.
We've been arguing over this for about a year now.
That's all? Well, that's progress. I was
Well,
gonna say, a lot of times in my world, it takes 10 years to see a conversation to a reality, so.
Well,
I'll take the plan.
3
or 4 at least, hadn't we?
At least.
Probably longer than you've been
I
on.
think so. Yeah.
Can I get some more time?
No, thank
You made that.
I did got it through.
And it's nowhere close to final.
Preliminary.
Yes, because I wanted them to, okay, it, boy.
I totally get it.
I don't do it in one time.
So, I guess, may I ask a question about that? So do you do preliminary design and then design, or and how does this world work? A lot of times we'll phase it out into a dream to a reality of a turnkey. Often will be 3 or
It's just
4
included.
projects.
We really hadn't built anything other than like that. Right. Other than.
But sometimes we'll do a design, we'll do a preliminary design grant, and then we'll do a final design grant, and then a construction grant. Yeah.
Kind of depends on the size of the
This ain't a
project.
grant.
This is expected
This
to
is-
be
this is-
paid
this
for
is
out of
the
reserves.
reserves.
Yes, we're paying for it.
That was gonna be my next question. I'll get caught up someday. Thank you.
And Mark, I do want to tell you, I go to a lot of meetings. You conduct a meeting probably the best I've ever seen as far as Robert Rules of Order.
Sometimes I get blindsided by walk-ins.
Well, I've been to a lot so far, and you do an excellent job.
Blindsiding is.
Got some big shoes to fill, Craig.
I studied. I have to study.
Just hope you don't get blindsided on the first go round.
We promised to go easy.
It's all right.
Just remember, you're not here for the January meeting.
No. Oh, you're in trouble. The election
That's an
takes
automatic.
place.
That's
We'll be
an automatic.
nominating
You go
left
get
and
it.
right.
Chairman. Whoever's absent gets a job.
Congratulations.
Don't worry, if you get bogged down there, you go.
Great project.
Well, you got your book.
Bug, his book, Robert.
So I got the summary plus the whole shebang.
And Heather, we've used different engineering companies for different things over the years.
Yes, me, yes.
When I started out. Too much.
Hey, I'll fix one that don't have it at all.
Thank you.
I don't know what.
Goodwin came with the deal for some of our work, and we
I got
were
dehydrated. Throw me through.
using mid-10.
YouTube video.
Yeah, I don't know where it goes.
Trying to get it all figured out. So.
I mean,
But
and my
they
book-
run a full
Just in case.
engineering company capable of doing everything that we need. We've got, he's talking about the CDBG grants. This county historically qualifies for a community development block grant every year. And
There are two.
they amount to about $500,000 roughly.
Oh, Lord.
And he can
Where does that,
administer
is
those.
that a rule or is that a,
It's going pretty good. We did a scan yesterday.
It's ECD.
ECD?
It's administered through ECD, it's federal money.
Progressing, whether it's health or
It's for low to moderate income.
Get the results tomorrow.
okay.
Lower a little.
And you're using that money
Yeah.
to do the zone meters, to try to rezone the system and get a little bit better handle on flow and capabilities.
This project, man.
And then the other project, the revolving loan fund,
I think it's on that document.
will
I'm not
help us to build
sure,
these.
sir, but I think we got a number on that, what we send to the,
The water.
Get rid of
water
it.
tank.
Two or three.
we have
Yes,
to put it in that calculation.
Roughly
Water
to
loss is
me.
big.
Okay.
What's that?
Now, it'll be
That's
as
That's
right.
80 though.
far as mine, probably rural
Yeah,
help.
it's already rolling. They never do
So,
They
is there
never
a
do.
master
It's
plan?
not.
So is that something?
You can't build one big enough. Trust me, I tried.
Is there a master plan?
Not really.
He's got a 10-year plan.
A 10-year plan?
They got his field.
It's a working document.
Just, like I said, you can't do it big enough.
I know well.
For the first
It
Oh,
was-
he said,
years of this board,
he said, what do you think?
it was
I
almost
said, "It ain't big
meeting
enough."
to meeting to get our head above
No, it
water.
ain't.
Yeah.
On what?
It's never-
We had to,
Grace was letting me build it, didn't you?
we had
You had to
some
push for that.
staffing
You
issues.
had to push for that. He'd probably argue if I had all my stuff out of there, you have enough room.
But we had
I kinda had that
money
thought, though, we were gonna say
reported
that.
to the board,
That's
hidden,
all right.
so to speak.
It's all right.
And so we had to go through the process of replacing the
Biggest
general
concern now is I gotta get
manager
this water line
those
repaired.
first few years.
You can get another water line. I gotta get the water line done for it.
And I remember.
Mom was upset with yours for
Seriously, I try to
Hold our head above water.
need to work on if everybody's
And we
okay.
never
get-
got
if
along
you think
enough to
Oh, if you need time, I
Better
ain't.
give her something to do.
an overall
Right there,
master plan.
scratch the
We're probably at a junction now.
Don't go
You got something to do.
You know, I talked to look
That's
at
what you're saying.
these
It's what we in January, but the
see
next
if
time
we
we
can
get
prioritize.
the way up,
Somebody's
right back through it again.
by the end of this year.
I'm gonna tell you
Identify.
something. You are
I
fortunate
mean,
young
it's
man.
3-year,
to have
5-year,
those two
10-year
people out there.
goals.
I agree.
If we
Both
get it
of
before the next meeting, I might get the.
Both.
That's what I'm saying.
By
Next
so
meeting.
We've been fortunate
January, we went,
that
like
income
get the
has
next
not
meeting,
been
maybe, you
a
might have
great
to.
Maybe have a
problem.
mini,
Well,
mini.
just advertise it so you
When
know.
we
All I gotta do is
President,
advertise, as long as they're good with this concept.
You're right.
They filled a big hole in the
That was the best cake I had today.
It was.
And that's
You
another
had
reason to make sure that their master
some. We had
works
some.
right,
Y'all did?
because
Yeah.
Tom,
they
did you get
use
in?
a lot of water out there.
Where was you?
Did you get in?
Yes.
So
Do you want
they-
some more water before we
But-
take it down?
We haven't had to entertain
it.
thoughts or
No, thank
questions
you. I'm
about,
I don't eat
Make
sweets
yourself-
much.
about
That's why,
rain.
there's a reason I don't work at Bay's Bread.
I don't eat sweets frequently.
Heather, I just want to say hello. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm Todd Weber.
Todd Weber,
See,
Heather
welcome to the
Bailey.
party.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
You got it, man, now?
Yeah, if you just.
Y'all have a good Thanksgiving and
You too.
good Christmas too.
Bye, ladies.
I guess.
Thank you.
Sir, you too.
We've been stable enough that we haven't had to look at rate increases.
March.
Since we've been on. Thank you.
Really appreciate it, man.
I think it's 14.
See you later.
That prison
14.
filled a
I think
niche.
it's 2014 is the last time y'all done an increase.
What's
Yeah, a long time ago.
residential versus
Wow.
commercial was your variance? A residential rate versus commercial rate?
There's no such thing here.
That probably needs to be addressed out there into the future, where you show a breakdown between
Commercial.
different classes of users, but we don't right now.
There's difference as far as their meter sets and things of that nature, you know.
I think we track businesses as, you know, they're tracked in the software as what they are, but we
Yes,
do
sir.
not have a
There's not a
specific
rate, there's not a
for-
difference in the rates.
So your commercial inside the city, there is no, it's all the same. If business pays the same as a household.
But what about, so Castaic Springs or someone like them, are they giving that wholesale rate?
Yeah, they get a wholesale.
Okay.
It's a contract.
Yeah, it's contracted, right?
So may I have to make an appointment with you and pick your brain one day?
I'm fine.
Okay.
It won't take long.
It won't take long, that's what I was about to say.
I'll make a list of questions to call you back on after I meet with him, I'm sure.
Tommy came to us from the Tracy City area, Grundy County area. He's been in water management for, I don't know, 27, 28 years now. How long has it been?
30, yeah.
30 now. Okay. Time flies and you're having fun.
Yeah.
So this was not his first rodeo.
Well, grateful you're here.
He's about to learn to be able to put up with us too.
Ain't much different from home.
Customers, aren't they?
How long you been here?
How
3 years.
3 years.
October.
Boy, it seems longer now.
He's been a big help.
It seems like he's been here
Big, big.
forever.
Has it?
Yeah.
I was thinking like 5.
Right now.
It's just 3.
Well, I've seen a huge difference just between Richard building his barnuminium and everything, our eldest son, so.
We've had a lot of building, we went through a lot of growing pains, and
That's
a lot of stuff has
any municipality.
been up and back, and I think it's all kind of
The
settled down.
biggest challenge probably for this utility is the fact that it is an old utility and there is a lot of aging infrastructure in the ground. And that causes a lot of these leaks that show up on his leak reports. It's old pipe. Some of the hydrants that we had gotten into that we're replacing, you've got a few around town that are 60 plus years old. They've still been working, but they're still 60-year-old hydrants. And we're going to systematically replace those with modern ones. probably early in 2021.
The problem is that they're working, but you can't get parts, you can't get
Tools.
Right.
you know.
We
and
had
it-
seven, we weren't one brand all the way through. We had 7 or 8 different brands of hydrants. So you need 5 or 6 different sets of tools and parts to replace them. So we're going
Do you
to
have
attempt to
Or
standardize.
Daddy just take care of it?
No, with the school, well, now you gotta
Looking
remember,
real
I
late.
was probably 8 years old when I was doing
But
camp.
most of your strong pressure hydrants are inside what was the city limits of Hartsville.
Okay.
Not too many strong pressure hydrants outside in the rural parts of the county.
Now, when this tank goes in over here, it'll change this zone in this area.
It's
Pressure
gonna
will go
be
there. Like over near the church, you know, it'll be similar pressure you see at Hall Town. So you have a break right there at Rogers Street. You're 45 pounds at this hydrant, you're 90 something on the other one. So, but it's a different. That's how the system's separated.
How much is the new code's gonna impact the water?
County codes. I
No,
don't foresee anything.
no.
Now, this, if we get a 10,000 population, that may be something it does.
Mm-hmm.
Population is gonna force us to incorporate stormwater regulations.
And more testing on.
And
Well,
more
we-
heavier testing
We'll have
on.
more testing. It'll change what we have to do as far as our sampling for chemical monitoring. Puts us in a whole different bracket. We may have to do stuff we never had to do before. Because
But
once
we
you,
upgraded the sewer plant when the prison came in. So we are in good shape on the sewer side. Water plant, so-so.
It needs upgrade.
we need a new water.
It's an old plant. It's running, it's not maxed out, but it's running at high capacity.
We've done a lot of modifications on it,
Yeah.
but it's caused the state kind of come in and said, fix it, you know.
We'd like to, if we built a new water treatment plant, we would like to be able to increase our daily draw out of the river. But the Corps has put a moratorium on increasing draws, and that's been in place for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years now, and
15.
they won't address it.
15.
Right out, because I know Lagardo had all the issues with the lime.
Well, they
because
drilled
they
angled
right.
wells.
Well, yeah.
We looked at that, but couldn't find a great source to attempt one,
Right.
and that's, you're kind of rolling your dice
Yeah, you gambling on that.
on the table on that, because it's either a success or an utter failure, and that's a lot of money to spend on
It is.
potential utter failure.
But if you're desperate, you can do it. We're not desperate.
Well, we've got a draw, but we would, if you build a new plant, you sure ought to look at trying to increase that daily draw.
If we have some heavy industry that's water dependent, it's gonna be a significant
That's probably
impact.
y'all's downfall, isn't it?
Yeah,
I got something to see you from.
Well, a lot of the counties and everything are getting more pushy with the Corps about reducing that moratorium or giving us a little bit more leeway as far as what to pull in, just cause of growth in the Nashville metropolitan area.
but every county around is
I know they'll
growing
have to have
in
pre-training.
population, but nobody can
All
pull
their POD levels.
above their
Way high.
designated level out of the river.
Which we were fortunate that our level was way above what we traditionally were using.
Yes,
So, you know, we were in good shape.
we got 2 million
Yeah,
gallon
we
We had
draw.
a big
And
cushion.
a million average daily.
So, but like I say, you get one high demand source, then.
Right now, there's certain food manufacturers, anything like that, we can't bring in because we don't have the capacity to service them. Now, we had some look at the power plant, but we didn't have the capacity to give them the water they needed.
You met with the Corps, right?
I met with the Corps on something else, so we
Not on the
met with,
withdrawal?
we didn't meet on withdrawal, there's some mayor's supposed to do it and it got canceled for
Oh, did
COVID.
it? Okay.
But we did have some discussions on some other boards I'm on where the mayor's wanting to get statements from this board to send to the Corps, say, hey, we want more. And there's Anthony Holt, Sumner County is one of the ones really pushing on that because of the growth they've got. But
Yeah.
Mayor Hutto's
They
on there too, so.
The meeting I sat in on, they said they had 20 years to do something. They had to do it in 20 years or it goes away. And it's been 15, it may be 16 now, so.
Well, I know just from the
If they're gonna be
growth.
like they normally are, they're going to year 19 and actually do something, and then.
Most every county has written and requested that moratorium to be relaxed or changed, and they've gotten no positive response from the Corps yet.
Well, their moratorium's just to do a study. They ain't done.
They ain't never done a study.
Right.
Haven't done the first thing.
Mm-mm.
Oh, wow.
So the moratorium's just so they can do a study that they've never done. So,
And then you've
and
got
you know when the study takes off,
you've
it's gonna
got
take forever.
almost double-digit population growth that's been happening all through the
Exactly.
metro Nashville area, and that's the water source for most of us is the Cumberland River.
Stones River or Cumberland.
And even LaGuardo, it's the river for them because they did an angled well that
Right.
hit an aquifer. Castellan drilled a well, drilled more than one. They spent probably $50,000 trying to drill wells, and like LaGuardo did, came up with dry holes every time.
Wow.
I figured they'd put something in the permit to keep you from doing like LaGuardo did.
Well,
That was slick.
That's the gutsy move.
That was slick
Yeah.
on them, I'm telling you.
The same thing happened in Poplar Mills.
Did what?
At the
Oh, down there.
Poplar Land. Don't they have a water source too?
Oh, I don't.
In Nashville? I thought they did the same thing.
Oh, drill grove, side of the river.
Yeah.
What you're gonna find a lot with water is terrain, how terrain affects what you're doing. Multi-elevations, you're trying to get over this hill to get to this next hill. And the supply balancing the size of the line so that the water's still fresh when it gets to the customer. That it's not
Being
that
close to the river,
you
don't
say
they go
just
ahead
put
and
in big lines.
get
Well, the water gets
from the
stale
river.
before it gets to
Right.
somebody.
Yeah.
So it's a balancing act that
But it's
is.
Well, and up and down some of these
Ain't
roads,
no law against it right
when
now.
the line was laid,
That's what I'm saying.
to
Yeah.
each line
Yeah,
was
that's-
very sufficient for the population that lived on that road. But if you've had an explosion of growth, to each line doesn't cut it anymore.
$100,000.
But it's hard to justify going back
But
at our
there is-
expense and
So
upgrade.
what I'm saying is, logic says, well, just put a 6-inch, 8-inch line, see where you're going. But what I'm saying is, you have to balance the demand that's gonna be coming through that
Right.
pipe.
Well,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Maybe y'all do it.
it's
Is it worth it though?
it's a moving
Still a
target,
guess.
constant.
So where are the
It's more of an
mains?
educated
Where-
guess.
They just
How
travel
many
the
mains
terrain.
are there? So,
Get with him, let him show you the
He's
map.
got a map.
okay.
That's not easy.
And what you determine as a main.
Not a situation y'all are in.
Ins and outs.
I mean, if you was really stressing over.
We got, what, 5 tanks now?
Your plant can't do the two.
6 tanks.
11.
11?
11 tanks.
Help us efficient.
You're having to pump them up, fill them up, run them out. It's
It's a moving.
a lot bigger job than people realize.
And a lot of these folks out in the rural area, they buy a tract of land, they see a fire hydrant across the street, and they think they've got a functional fire hydrant, but it's not really.
Can't pump
Can't pump
off
off
of it. You can burp it, you know, if there's air in there. I mean, that's what it's there for, really.
Really, it is to blow off.
Bleed off,
Most of them
blow
they
off.
might fill their truck, you know, it'd be the tank, but they can't pump off.
But if I set a fire truck beside it and tried to tie into it, I'd pull it out of the ground.
Suck the
And
line
all the
out.
pipe out of the ground.
Yeah, or flat.
Wow.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Heather, would you want me to change your, I've still got your direct flight solutions as your email. Would you rather do something else or?
You can do HMDAY 001.
Mr. B, have a good holiday today.
Thank you.
Roger, all you've done and all
That
you're
way,
going to do
my
for
staff
this.
doesn't, it doesn't go through all my staff.
I'm about getting blindsided. I got a little blindsided last night.
Everybody was born, so you'll be able to get to it. I went ahead and pulled it up.
Was you still there when walk? That's the question.
So you can answer and do it
Oh,
all
wow,
online.
you like my answer?
I appreciate it, thank you so much.
It's the chair's choice.
Water project.
I don't know, it just seemed like a good idea.
See y'all.
Thank you, we did. We don't get no cut.
Alright, well, I can go home now.
Feed some
Yay!
dead ends and loop some lines and get more feed to that tank out there. Which one's that one from? Honey,
So,
Been about a
All right,
mile.
y'all, take
Been about
care.
a mile, there ain't no water line. Yeah, we got honey from. There's areas that don't have, they go out and do it in a lot of them. No, I never did go out and do that. I've never been out in some of them areas. You know,
Good night.
You do too.
you ain't got no roadside. Put no
There's a
water
reason
line
there ain't
on.
water there.
That's why.
Bye, guys.
So you like, I mean, you might run it so far to some